Hello, welcome back to my podcast. My name is Justina, and today we are going to talk about discipline and something that often hides behind it, which is self punishment. Because a lot of people genuinely believe they're being disciplined when in reality they're just being hard on themselves. And the most confusing part is this. From the outside, it often looks admirable. It looks like commitment. It looks like strength. It looks like doing the work. But on the inside, it feels tense, heavy, and unsustainable. So, in this episode, we're going to slow this topic down and really unpack it. What discipline actually is, what self punishment looks like, even when it's subtle, why we confuse the two, and how to build discipline in a way that supports you instead of breaking you. So, grab something you enjoy to drink or to eat, and let's begin. So, why does this topic actually matter? We live in a culture that prizes pushing through exhaustion, ignoring emotional and physical signals, and no excuses mindset. We are taught directly and indirectly that rest has to be earned, that slowing down means you're weak, and that being hard on yourself means you care. So when we feel tired, unmotivated, or stuck, we don't ask, "What do I need right now?" We ask, "What's wrong with me?" And the question alone can turn self support into self punishment. Because instead of listening to ourselves, we start trying to control ourselves. So, at the beginning of my career, I really wanted to be seen as someone who can work hard and can get a lot done by myself. And I really wanted to show that I never need help. And that was actually a huge mistake. My manager called me over to the office and I heard a lot of good things about my work, but on the inside, I felt emotionally and physically exhausted. I didn't listen to my body, and that was another big mistake that I made. So let's slow this down and really redefine discipline. Discipline is not about forcing yourself to do things you hate, it's about pushing through pain at all costs. And it's definitely not about ignoring your limits. So, real discipline is quieter than that. Discipline is the ability to take the consistent actions that support your long-term well-being and values, even when motivation changes. The last part is important because discipline isn't about how you act on your best days, it's about how you support yourself on your hard days. So let's talk about healthy discipline. So what is healthy discipline? So healthy discipline plans for the fact that you're human, expects fluctuations in energy, and allows flexibility without collapsing into chaos. It doesn't say do more no matter what. It asks what helps me keep going long term? What makes this easier to return tomorrow? How do I support future me instead of sabotaging them? Psychological research shows that people stay consistent longer when their behavior is guided by self regulation rather than fear or pressure. In other words, discipline works best when it feels supportive and not aggressive. So, in the past, I believed that if I will slow down, I will not do well in my career, and my goal was to move up. I really wanted to show my skills and my competencies, and I wouldn't stop thinking about work even when I was at home. I know it sounds horrible, but I felt awful if I slowed down. Even when I was sick, I would still push myself to do more than I should have. So, what self punishment actually is? Let's talk about the other side. the one that often disguises itself as discipline. Self punishment is when you try to change your behavior through shame, guilt, deprivation, harsh inner talk. It's driven by the belief that if I'm hard enough on myself, I will finally change. Self punishment often sounds like I don't deserve rest yet. I have to make up for being lazy. If it hurts, it means I'm doing it right. From the neuroscience perspective, this puts your brain into threat mode. When the threat mode is activated, your body is focused on survival, avoiding danger, or getting through the moment. Not learning, not growth, not long term consistency. That's why self punishment might create short bursts of action, but almost always leads to burnout, avoidance, or loss of motivation over time. Your system doesn't feel supported, it feels under attack. When I finally decided that I have to make a change, my body found it very hard to adjust to new habits. I was actually never able to fully adapt. I definitely could see the difference in how I felt as soon as I slowed down. I started doing to do lists, and it really helped me to actually see how to manage tasks. And it actually really helped me to see how many tasks I'm trying to get done during the day. And this really opened my eyes and it gave me opportunity to change my perspective on discipline and on how I treat myself. So, one reason we confuse these two is because many of us learned discipline through shame. Growing up, discipline often meant criticism, pressure, fear or fear of consequences, or approval being taken away. So we internalize the idea that if I'm not hard on myself, nothing will get done. On top of that, we live in a productivity culture, a culture that ties your worth to how much you produce, achieve, or endure. In this culture, rest is seen as weakness, struggle is praised, and burnout is normalized. Burnout is now officially recognized as a result of chronic workplace stress. So, punishment starts to feel like responsibility, and care starts to feel like laziness. One of the clearest way to tell the difference is how each one feels in your body. Discipline feels calm, steady, grounded, and supportive. You might not love it, but you don't feel afraid of it. Self punishment feels urgent, heavy, rigid, and guilt driven. You might comply, but you resent it. Research shows that people stay motivated longer when their actions are driven by autonomy and care, not pressure or fear. One builds self trust, the other slowly erodes it. Here is the reframe of what I want you to sit with. Discipline should make your life more stable, not more painful. Sustainable discipline can pause and resume, doesn't rely on suffering, and supports nervous system regulation. Chronic stress actually impairs learning, consistency, and decision making. So, when you're deciding how to be disciplined, ask would this help me tomorrow? Does this feel firm or cruel? Or am I guiding myself or punishing myself? I could really see the difference in my mindset and in my body when I slowed down. It took me a while to get back to normal, but I definitely had more motivation and I felt less burnt out. So I want you to pause for a minute and write these questions down and just reflect on them in your free time. So the first question is, where do I confuse discipline and with punishment? The second question is, how does each feel in my body? And the third and last question is, what actually helps me stay consistent long term? And I, of course, have a little daily practice for you and an affirmation. So this week, I want you to notice when you push from fear and when you act from care. Just choose one disciplined action that supports you instead of hurting you. And the affirmation for this week is, consistency grows from care, not fear. So, as we come to the end of today's episode, and if you've been hard on yourself in the name of discipline, it doesn't mean you failed. It means you were trying to do better with the tools you had. I wish someone would stop me and tell me to slow down and warn me of all the possible negative outcomes. This would also help me with my mental health issues and any potential toxic or stressful situations. So just remember that discipline isn't about control, it's about care. And the strongest discipline is choosing to support yourself even when no one is watching. Thank you for listening to today's episode. I'll see you in my next one. Thank you, see you, and bye.